Hello, welcome to Talk About Houses. I'm Todd.
I'm Oana.
Okay, so we have been meeting with a lot of sellers recently, and we're getting a recurring question about how to deal with showings. Like they have, and some of these people have never sold a house before. So they came to Vegas, they purchased their first house, and they're either moving to a bigger house or they're moving somewhere else for whatever reason. And they just don't know what are the different ways. So there's not a right or wrong way, but so Oana, what's one thing, like one method they could use to have showings?
So an easy method that you can have showings is by appointment. That means that they either call you or message you in some way that's acceptable to you and say, hey, can I come by on this date at this time to show your home? That's one way of doing it. And if that time and date work for you, great. If they don't, then you can suggest something else and you can come to a mutual agreement for a time and date that's convenient for both you and the agent and the buyer.
Okay, so the reason why that's probably the most common for occupied homes is because a buyer agent, the other real estate agent helping the buyer, is probably got 4 or 5 houses to show. And they're trying to take them from house to house to house to house. So what they do is they look at their schedule and go, okay, we'll see this one at 11, we'll see this one at 11:45, and then this one's really close, we'll see it at 12:15, and right? So what they do is they call and say, hey, can I see your house at 12:15? Because they're trying to work it in, and maybe you've got a pool party going on that day, or you're just like, or whatever. If nobody's home, it's usually not a problem because you have a lockbox and they're just going to come in when you're gone. So that's why that's why most agents want to do that, because the agents know that you'll get more money for your house if you make it as easily accessible as possible for viewings, even though people are buying houses sight unseen. That if you're, you don't want to restrict the ability.
Right.
Okay, so appointments is a way to do it, right?
Absolutely.
And it's always they just call you, and then the agent's going to call you and say, hey, I'm with Banana Realty. Can I come see your house? And then you can just say sure or whatever, right? Okay.
Yes.
Let's talk. What's another way to do it?
So another way to do it is to set up, if you will, standing appointments. And what I mean by that is, so let's say that agents are welcome to show your house every Wednesday from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. and every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Okay, so that gives agents those 2 time windows and those 2 days to show your house. That's a standing appointment. Those are days and times that maybe you have something to do or somewhere to go, and you have taken your family, your pets, and your house is clean and presentable, and you're out of there and they can show the house. Now the nice thing about that is that now you're not having people coming every day, so particularly depending on how much chaos is going on in your home, it makes it easier to be able to keep the house picked up for just those 2, if you will, showing appointments, as opposed to having the house neat and tidy 24/7.
Okay, what about people that are uncomfortable having somebody in the house without them being there, and they want to do like a maybe weekly open house? Their agent is there, and so there's always the homeowner may not be there, but there'll be an agent there holding an open house, and maybe not like in a market where stuff sells super quick, but have you seen this thing where the home goes on the market on Friday, like on Wednesday, and there's a thing in the MLS that says the only showings that will take place are Saturday between noon and 3. Right. And then that's it. The problem with that one is, what if you work Saturdaire?
Right.
But this is Vegas.
Right.
So people work 24 hours. They work on weekends. So
right, but and it's not just Vegas. I mean, it's everywhere. If you're a police officer, if you're a doctor, if you're if you have a business or whatever profession you're in, that may be during your regularly scheduled work hours. So that may not work. But look, as a seller, you have to make choices for yourself, and these are some options that you have. Work with your agent, because your agent will have some good suggestions for you. If you're uncomfortable, like Todd said, about having people come through your house without either you there or your agent there, then work out a system that works for you. You can have your agent there doing an open house, and that's fine. But do keep in mind that even with an open house, let's say that a family comes in and you've got mom, dad, and 3 kids, and they come in, they kind of scatter like cats. Nobody can keep track of everybody.
Yeah.
So when you list your home, please make sure that you put things away, and I don't just mean in a dresser drawer. I mean like gone. Things like valuables, IDs, maybe prescription medications, weapons, anything like that can easily spring legs, as I like to say.
Yeah.
It has to be not accessible to people coming through the home, because you just don't know who's coming through the home, and it's not necessarily something nefarious, but particularly children get curious and they look and they touch, and not that I'm accusing children of doing naughty things, but they're just curious. So you want to make sure that it's a safe environment for people to see your home.
Yeah, look, if you're getting ready to move and people are going to be in the house, then pack up some of the stuff that you're really concerned about, or put it in a safe, or get it where you don't have to have it out. And then the other thing too is to keep in mind that there's a very low, extremely low instance of theft by real estate agents or their clients. It's really low. Where it tends to happen is open houses, but because the people are not, the people who are going to steal are not going to go get a pre-qual and give it to so you have documents on who they are, and then go in with an agent. Because then when the agent starts getting calls saying, hey, you showed our house and we noticed we got a home that one of our prescription narcotic, painkillers bottles was gone, and then 2 days later another agent calls and says, hey, my client said they're missing this thing, and you showed that same house to 2 clients. The people that are doing that aren't going to be with an agent, because then it's pretty obvious who's stealing the stuff, right?
Right.
Okay, so we've got appointment, which is the most common and best one. This is the one we recommend. Then you have set little showing times where you publish the times, right? And then you can do an open house. And what else could we do?
Those are the main ones. I'm sure there are lots of other creative things out there, but those are my favorite ones.
Yep.
I think that they're easy, they're accessible to everyone. There are certain, depending on who is listing your home and if your home is vacant. So there are other ways. So for example, you can you can advertise a code, or you can give people a code to access the house on their own without an agent. I'm not a fan of that, but that's certainly your prerogative. So there are lots of ways to get people into your home, but particularly an occupied home, and that's primarily what we're talking about. Is those 3 are my favorite ones.
Yeah, and just remember, if it's a vacant house, there should be no barrier, right? It should be empty, meaning it's empty. And if it's one of those homes where it's like you're planning on leaving the furniture because you bought it with the furniture, but you don't really, it was furnished when you purchased it, take all your personal stuff out, leave the furniture behind. So it's staged, first of all, but then you can say, hey, look, we're selling it with the furniture because we just moved we're going to a military base, or we're moving to a place where it's not, we don't need this furniture, so we'll just leave it with the house. But if it's vacant, it should be what we call key any, which means you can get in, there's a lockbox and you get in any time. Right. Usually within I think the old lockboxes, you under no circumstance could you get in before 8 a.m. Right.
So depending on what lockbox is being used, they have timers on them. So some of them, will allow access between, for example, 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Depending on the lockbox being used, your agent can change those times. So maybe, if you're a day sleeper or something like that, so maybe they can change that to where there's only access, for example, between 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. or, whatever works for you. Work with your agent to make sure that your home is accessible during times that are acceptable to you. And
then the other thing too is if you're selling a house but it's occupied by a tenant, there's a possibility you're not going to, we see this in the MLS all the time. It says you'll be able to view the house when you do your inspection. You're going to get one shot to get in there, because the tenant a lot of times doesn't want people in the house. And true story, long time ago when I was a tenant, was living in this pretty nice house. And one day, out of the blue, while I'm in the house, the door opens up and this real estate agent walks in with 2 people. And I said, excuse me, what are you doing? She goes, oh, well, we're here to show the house. I go, what do you mean you're here to show the house? I live here. It's like, and then I realized there was a realtor lockbox on the door. And I said, whoa. I said, you know what? No, I was just upset. I said, you know what? Leave. You can't come in because you don't called. So I called the property manager and they said, oh yeah, the owner said they were thinking of selling it. And I go, well, someone just walked in. And apparently the owner called an agent and said, I want to sell the house. I guess sent them a key. And then we didn't rekey it. So they put a lockbox on it, put it in the MLS. So of course we don't know any of this. We don't, we didn't know we didn't see the lockbox on the front door. So they come up and they just start showing the house because I think it just said just show it, right, or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it was a mess. I was super upset when they walked in. So I said from here now on you have to call us and we have to set appointments so we can get all get everyone in the car and drive away because we didn't want to be there or whatever. But so yeah, super important.
Very important, yes.
Okay.
So do be courteous to whoever is living there. You want to make sure that you treat people the way you would want to be treated.
Yeah, because if they're upset, they're not going to let you back in.
Yes.
They're going to make it very difficult for you to do your home inspection and everything else. But so like Oana was saying, that appointment is the best one. If it's occupied, they'll call you and say, hey, can we show it today at 3 or 2:30? And then you should be as agreeable as possible, unless it's extremely. We've shown houses where no kidding, we're having a pool party, and we're like, hey, they would say, hey, we're having a pool party. We don't care, but there's going to be people running in and out, and we're like, that's fine. Maybe it's a selling point. Maybe they'll realize that it's a fun house or something. Yes. They'll see all people, barbecuing and hanging out, and they'll like it. So, but because you don't want to deny somebody that might be the person that was willing to pay the most money, and now they don't buy the house.
Right.
Yeah.
So make it easy for the buyer. Hopefully they'll make the transaction easy for you, the seller, and you'll have a good, happy transaction, and you'll be able to move forward to your next home.
Right. If you are thinking about selling your Las Vegas house, then just give us a call. I'll put our information right here so you can just reach out to us. If you have questions or whatever, you don't have to, if you're thinking about it, even if it's 6 months, what are some things I should do now? And we probably have a whole video on that. But feel free to reach out to us. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, notification bell, and leave us a comment. And we'll see you on the next video.
Yep.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.